Hi everyone, welcome to Destined to Relax. My name's Alicia. I'm a 38-year-old single mom of three amazing teenagers, and I'm here to talk about everything cruising, especially if you are wanting to go solo. Now, I finally made a decision that had been calling my name for years. I'm officially becoming a part-time solo cruiser. I'm not retiring, I'm not running away from life, and I'm not escaping my responsibilities. I am choosing me, and I am choosing the ocean. And if that sentence made you feel something, even just a little tug, then this video is probably for you. Because today, I want to talk about why I made this decision, how cruising became such a big part of my life in the first place, why Carnival Cruise Line specifically fits this lifestyle for me, why I prefer cruising solo, and what my long-term plan actually looks like. This isn't a highlight reel. This isn't quit your job and disappear. And it's definitely not a midlife crisis. It is, however, a lifestyle shift. One that feels grounded, intentional, and honestly, long overdue. So let me start at the beginning. Cruising was not always part of my world. I didn't grow up cruising. I wasn't one of those kids whose family took a cruise every year. I really didn't even understand cruising at first. For a long time, it just felt like that's what other people did. And then life happened. I finally reached a point where I needed a break. Not a vacation where you come back more tired than when you left, but a real pause. Something structured but relaxing, and something that I didn't have to plan out every second. And that's when cruising entered my life. And I will tell you, at first, I was skeptical and very nervous. I remember thinking, what am I going to do on a ship? Am I going to feel trapped or enclosed? Is it going to be boring or maybe even really awkward? But something told me to try it anyway, and I am so glad I did. And my very first cruise completely surprised me. I remember stepping onto the ship and immediately feeling this strange sense of relief. Like the world decided to slow down without asking my permission. There were no errands to run, no emails to answer, no constant decision making. It was just movement like a rhythm or a flow. And what surprised me so much was how quickly I settled into that routine. Wake up, enjoy the ocean views, breakfast without rushing in the morning. I had sea days where time felt optional, port days that felt like mini adventures, and then evenings that were filled with food, music, laughter, and just that feeling of being taken care of. Now, the food. Let's talk about the food. Not just the fact that it's included in with your regular cruise fare, but also the experience of it. You're sat down, you're being served, you're trying things that you wouldn't normally order at a restaurant back at home, and then you don't have to worry about the bill at the end. That was new for me. But what made me really fall in love was the routine without any pressure. Cruising gave me structure without stress, options without obligation, and I had a community without demand. And once I felt that, I was hooked. Now, it wasn't just one thing that made me fall in love with cruising, if everything that I just said wasn't enough. It was the way that the sea days actually forced me to slow down. The way that port days reminded me how much I do love exploring. The way that the nights on the ship just felt cozy. It was waking up to see the ocean and journaling with a drink in hand while the ship just quietly moved forward. It was realizing I didn't need to be busy to feel fulfilled. Cruising showed me a version of myself that was calmer and more present and certainly more confident. And that changed everything. Now, if you've ever been on a cruise, I want you to tell me in the comments, what was your first cruise like? What surprised you? And what made you fall in love? Or maybe made you decide that cruising wasn't for you? I love hearing the stories, and I would love to be able to converse with you more about that. So, for a while, cruising was just something I did occasionally. It was a treat, a break, or a reset. But then came the turning point. There was a moment where I thought, okay, I'm not just enjoying this, but I'm actually being changed by this. And I started noticing how much better I felt after cruises, how grounded I was, how clear my mind felt, and how energized I was going back to my regular life. So I started asking myself a different question. It wasn't how do I fit cruising into my life once in a while, but it was more how do I build a life where cruising fits naturally. That it was the moment everything shifted. So let me say this clearly. This is not a midlife crisis. It's not a phase, and it's not me trying to escape reality. This is me being honest about what supports my mental health, my joy, and my sense of balance. It's not quitting my life or disappearing, and I'm certainly not going to be pretending that problems don't exist. But I am going to be choosing a rhythm that works for me. Cruising isn't about running away. For me, it's about coming back better. And once I accepted that, I stopped feeling like I needed to justify it. Now, let's talk about Carnival specifically, because yes, the cruise line does matter. Carnival works for me for a few key reasons. First of all, is the affordability. If you're wanting to cruise more than once a year, the cost matters. Carnival makes repeat cruising realistic, and I can plan multiple sailings without blowing up my entire budget. Second of all is the atmosphere. Carnival has energy. It's fun, it's social, but it's also not overwhelming. You can join the party or you could step away. And that balance is so important, especially if you're going to be cruising solo. Now, Carnival is solo friendly without feeling isolating. Now, there's always opportunities to meet people naturally, whether it's at dinners, activities, some of the live action shows, all without pressure. And if you want to be alone, no one's going to question it. Loyalty perks. A lot of people have heard that Carnival will be changing their loyalty program a bit, so we will get more into that as time goes on. But for now, the more you cruise, the more it's going to pay off. There is priority boarding. You'll get better offers the more that you cruise. And there are small perks that will add up over time. And then finally, you have the itineraries. Carnival has a wide variety of short and longer length cruises. There are familiar ports and easy planning, which makes it perfect for someone who wants to cruise part-time. But it also opens up the option for full-time cruising, which is ultimately my long-term plan, which I'll get into here in the next couple of videos. So it fits perfectly into the lifestyle I'm building, not just a vacation that I'm taking. So now let's talk about solo cruising. Solo cruising gives you freedom, meaning you can wake up when you want, eat when you want, sleep when you want. You can change plans without negotiating or having to compromise with someone else. But it's even more than that. Solo cruising allows you to recharge mentally. It gives you space to think, to reflect and reset yourself. You can meet people, but it's on your terms. Conversations will happen naturally, and connections can form without any pressure. And honestly, solo cruising can boost confidence in ways you would never expect. There's something powerful about navigating a new environment alone and realizing I've got this. So, if you've ever thought about cruising solo but felt nervous, you're not alone. And you're exactly who I'm making these videos for. So, what does a part time solo cruiser actually mean? For everyone, it's going to be different. For me, as of right now, it looks like a few cruises per year, but I'm going to be spacing them intentionally. Maybe not necessarily back to back. We'll see what happens. But I'm not going to be rushed. I'm saving specifically for cruising now. It's part of my lifestyle budget, not just a random splurge. There are ships that I want to try, classes of ships that I want to experience. There's ports that are on my bucket list. Some are familiar and some are brand new. And most importantly, I plan to document everything from the planning to the packing, the emotions, the lessons learned, really just the overall solo experience. And it's going to be honestly and openly. Now, this isn't about perfection, it's about sharing what this lifestyle really looks like. So that's where I am. I'm not retired, I'm not escaping, I'm definitely not done with life. I'm just choosing a version of it that feels more aligned. And next week, I'm going to be sharing how I'm preparing before I even get on a ship. So that's mentally, financially, and practically. And if you're a solo woman that's thinking about cruising, or you're thinking about choosing yourself a little more boldly, you are in the right place. Thank you so much for joining today, and I will see you on the next video.